right, welcome to another episode of Two Bros, One Beard. The bearded brother Michael.
And I'm John.
Today we're just doing a quick video today. The new Kamelot single dropped yesterday. New music video today. We want to just kind of react to it, and so we might have different opinions on this one. I was super excited for a new Kamelot record. It's been about 5 years. Been maybe their longest break of their career or close to it. This album has been in the works for a long time. So so I'll react to it first. So John is not as big of a fan of the newer Kamelot as I am, with Tommy on vocals, and nothing to do with his voice, because we both agree that he's one of the best vocalists on the planet. But John just
come back to me on that, but go ahead. Yes.
Okay. So maybe John doesn't think he's as good of a fit, and I kind of felt that way. I mean, we both love Silverthorn. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And it was kind of Haven where you kind of strayed a little bit, and I agree that Haven wasn't nearly as good as Silverthorn, but I will say I went back to it a couple weeks ago, and I enjoyed it a lot more after a break. But I was kind of the opinion, because I was, I really got into, the Roy Khan stuff, especially those 4 records that were just, it's fair to say maybe they'll never compete with those records, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And so
you're talking about, so people know, you're talking about Epica through,
or we're talking Black Halo, Ghost Opera, or is it Epica, then Black Halo?
Yeah.
Ghost Opera, and then
Poetry for the Poison.
Poetry for the Poison. I would say at least those 3 records anyway, where it's like, man, they're probably their pinnacle. Black Halo I put in my top 5 all time. So I mean, you're just not going to beat that. Once I kind of came to terms with the fact that it's like, hey, maybe they'll never, reach these levels again, that their sound was so determined or kind of formed around Roy's voice and his songwriting, that the songs just don't quite feel the same. And I initially didn't like their last album after one listen, and I commented, I think, on their Facebook page. I was like, man, I just do not like this. Shadow Theory, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. And then it just hit me one day. I was like,
weren't you banned for that?
I was kicked off their Facebook page for just saying I didn't.
Positive reviews only, please.
Yeah, which was weird. It's okay. I follow the individual members, so I don't lose. That is bizarre, which I don't like. So anyone from Kamelot, if you watch this video, please let me back on your Facebook page. That wasn't cool. I'm still a big fan, and we've seen them live a couple times. I kept listening, and I was like, you know what? If I didn't really know of the Roy Khan albums, like, how would I judge this? And I would love it. So I'm like, the analogy I use is, it's not a perfect analogy, but it's like comparing David Lee Roth Van Halen with Sammy Hagar Van Halen. It's like, it's so different.
Pretty good analogy.
That it's best not to even think of them as the same band. Think of it as like its own thing now. And
no, that's a really good analogy. If you think about it, I mean, it's still Thomas Youngblood. It's his songwriting. It's his band. Yeah, I think you're pretty spot on.
I think so. And obviously Tommy, has a very different voice, although he could really nail the Roy stuff live. He has that ability, and his voice has kind of changed over the years. He's kind of learned some things probably from singing Roy's material, and he's mentioned that, and it's become a part of his voice, especially that kind of the real lower register stuff. But he has a poppier sound. He writes poppier lyrics. So it's just not going to sound exactly like the Roy stuff. And I almost prefer, which is what we're going to talk about, the new single, I almost prefer that they don't try to copy the early stuff, like stylistically, to where it feels like they're almost ripping it off, even though they're the same band. Mm-hmm. It's like, just write what Tommy does well. Musically, tonally, it's still going to sound like Kamelot, but I felt like the single, more than any other single that they've released, sounds closer to like a Seventh Wonder than it does early Kamelot. It doesn't sound like the Great Pandemonium or Ghost Opera, which the single from the last album, Phantom Divine and Raven Light, still sounded like something off Ghost Opera. This song, I thought they more embraced kind of a little bit, new age, poppier metal, the stuff that's really popular. Although it doesn't go full board. Is it Amaranth or whatever? What's that band called?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stuff like that, which I don't really like. They still sound enough like Kamelot. Tommy, obviously, it seems that he writes all the lyrics and melodies. The song is extremely catchy. When I heard it in the trailer, just that line, another flag in the ground, I was like, oh man, that sounds awesome. The video is amazing. It's so cool. I mean, maybe they're overdoing like the post-apocalypse type stuff, but it was cool where they're holding like a piece of the flag and then like it like extends on its own and then they drop it into the ground. I thought that looked so cool. And it's just, yeah, great video. I'm super excited for the album. So I actually love the new single. And I'm super excited for the album. Super catchy chorus, great solo on it. And Tommy's just killer. To me, Jorn Land is probably one of his big influences, and there's some vocal lines that really sounded like Jorn to me, and they were just so cool. And it was less like trying to mimic Roy Khan. It was more embracing what Tommy does best. So, John, I'll throw it over to you. Tell me.
Well,
what
one
you
more
thought.
thing you didn't mention, I don't think, is did you say for sure Jacob Hansen?
Yes.
Okay.
It said Sasha and Jacob mixed and mastered. So it could be that he just mastered it.
Okay.
But he also mastered the last album. But I thought the mix was perfect.
Yeah.
Truly perfect. I thought the vocals were really pronounced, which would be my pet peeve if his voice was buried at all. I like that they didn't do launch the new single with a duet song, which they usually do.
They usually do.
Yeah.
And I like how it wasn't. Well, I mean, we'll have to see, but that trope of having like the extreme vocals with the clean singing thing.
Yeah.
They've done that enough, and
true. It's time to do something different. Yeah.
I think Angel of Afterlife would have been it. That was it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Or Sacrimony. What was the name of that song? The first single.
Oh, Sacrimony. But it's in parentheses Angel of Afterlife.
Oh, that's right. Same song. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was good enough for me. But yeah, I gotta say, I still don't love it.
Okay.
I'm a little more excited to give this a chance than I was Shadow Theory.
Okay.
I think one of the things I've never liked about Kamelot is Thomas Youngblood's guitar tone.
Okay, that's fair.
But I really like it in some contexts, like especially Poetry for the Poison. For some reason, that's where it totally does it for me. That's where I really, really dig it. I like it a lot on Black Halo. Okay, so those 3 records you mentioned earlier, I like it on those 2. But have not loved it, especially on the last 2 records, just not at all.
Okay.
And this time around, I just find that riff a little like on this new song, just a little too repetitive, and it just seems to do that a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
But sonically, though, I like how it sounds better, which is promising. And then you talked about how it's really nothing to do with Tommy. Well, you know what? It kind of is for me, because it's like this with some singers where I've never been a big fan. I never really got into The Source by Arion, and that has like 6 or 7 of my favorite singers on it.
Yeah, true.
And sometimes it comes down to what they're singing, the song behind them. It's not just hearing their voice that's interesting to me. It's like it has to be the whole package. And I didn't put The Testament in my top 5 last year by Seventh Wonder for a reason. It may grow on me, but
yeah,
I don't just naturally just like, oh, it's Tommy, I love it. Not at all. I think there was more than just a singer was lost with Roy's departure. It was, I mean, there has to be a songwriting element in there. As we've talked about, because of how similar Conception sounds to old Kamelot by some mysterious coincidence. But it's his lyrics too. I mean, gosh, his lyrics were so good.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I find the lyrics to this new song like just a little pedestrian. Like I just don't, I think it, and like you said, over this whole post-apocalyptic, it's a little overdone, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know what route they're going to go on the record overall, but you know, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, I'm more optimistic, like I said, than the last record. You know, I don't think we talked about the album artwork yet. That is phenomenal.
Yeah,
The
that
album
looks
artwork
cool.
looks amazing.
Awesome.
It's so much better than the last two.
Yeah,
Last great.
last two are boring. I mean, just kind
Yeah,
of
even
plain.
the last three. Yeah,
Yeah.
this to me
You're right.
is finally up there with, like, because it's still that graphic arts thing, but
Yeah,
it's cool. Like it really
looks
really well
cool.
done.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that, and just you know, diving into the story. Maybe it'll be a really interesting story. So where like these lyrics actually
Oh, is
by
it
the
a
overall
concept
concept.
record?
I don't know, isn't it? Aren't they all?
I don't, aren't they all? I don't think. No, the last two
I don't.
weren't.
They
I don't
weren't.
think. I don't think so.
Man, they all feel like they are though. Okay,
Maybe they are.
well,
They are in some sense, but it's not like
thematically maybe connected.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
know.
thematically.
Man, I could have sworn it was a concept record. Okay, well,
Hey,
okay,
maybe
so
it
let's
is.
let's
They
just say
didn't.
in the overall scope of the record with all the songs in there, it's like, oh, okay, this whole Another Flag on the Ground makes total sense. I love it. I don't
Yeah.
know, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I think these guys, are still great at what they do. And you mentioned the live element. I'm gonna go see them when they come to town, because that live show last time I saw them for a record I didn't enjoy was absolutely outstanding. Like these
Yeah.
guys, especially with their new drummer.
Yep.
Nothing against
He's a
Casey,
powerhouse. Yeah.
man. And then you know, the way they're utilizing Oliver now
Hmm.
on keys. He did a keyboard solo. There was a drum solo. You know, it was like I was like confused. I was like, was this a Dream Theater concert I'm
I know.
witnessing, or is this Kamelot?
Yeah,
And
they're like a TSO almost. You know.
it seriously was one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
they had Sonata opening for them. They blew Sonata so far out of the water. It was a
Oh,
good
speak
thing
of,
Camelot.
if we ever do a segment like bands that just fell off a cliff, we would we
Number
put
one, Sonata
Sonata
Arctica.
in there. Yeah.
But it's a good thing Camelot was the headliner, man, because they were absolutely exceptional.
Yeah.
And Tommy's vocal delivery live, and then hearing his take on the old stuff is great. They always bring new singers on tour. I'm hoping with Melissa Bonney being the guest female vocalist on this record, she gets to go out on tour. I am not at all a fan of her band, but I do like her voice. So I'm really excited to hear her part on this new Camelot for sure. Her and Tommy together is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
So
I mean, as much as there's certain singers that they've used in the past that I'm like, oh man, like if they could get Amanda Somerville or someone like that, but it seems like they kind of do a thing, kind of like Jerry Seinfeld's girlfriends on Seinfeld. That they constantly bring in a new singer almost to give them exposure, and to always have a different female vocalist seems to be the way they want to go now.
Yeah, well,
so
you know,
I'm not familiar with her, but I'm sure she's great.
She's great. No, she really is great. And when I met Tommy at a NAMM show a few years ago, I even asked him if he was ever going to have Amanda Somerville back on a record, and he told me, he's like, well, she's pretty expensive, or she's a little too expensive. I forget how he put it, but
you would think you could get Simone Simmons maybe for free, and due to the tie.
Oh, no,
right. I mean, for husbands in the band, you think you'd be
but they've done that, and can they bring her on tour? No, she's too busy with Epica and other things she's got to do. So I think that's what's really cool about this is they've had Elise, you know, on tour. They've had Alyssa on tour.
Yeah, I could always use her on a song.
Yeah, anytime. But she's also
video.
I know, really, but she's also incredibly busy with Arch Enemy. That band is huge.
Yeah.
So
I think this is the Camelot exposure. You know, they get these new gigs, or their careers take off, and then you know they need someone else now. So.
Yeah, well, Thomas I think has done a lot for a lot of these smaller artists.
Yep, for sure
in this business. But yeah, that's all I got. So
yeah, so the album comes out in March, so we'll do a full review of it when it comes out. But I just wanted to, you know, strike while the iron's hot and talk about this new Kamelot song because I was super excited about it. And for me, you were saying, you know, your ears don't necessarily perk right up if it's a Tommy song. For me, they do. Anything Tommy, I'm probably gonna love it. He's probably in my top 5. So yeah, so I have to say I love the song. John, you think it might grow on you. So that's fair. That's good enough for me for
You're
now.
a thumbs up. I'm a thumbs in the middle, and
Okay.
that's okay. That's all right.
That works. That is okay. We might have differing opinions on this channel, and that's all right. All right. Well, that's it for this short episode of Two Bros, One Beard. Well, thanks for stopping by, everyone, and we'll catch you on the flippity flip.
Take care.